The desert wind howled through the cracked metal ruins of Outpost 9, a forgotten station buried in red sand and silence. Rhett wiped sweat from his brow as he climbed over the twisted remains of an old landing platform. His water was low, his rations almost gone, but he wasn't ready to turn back yet. He had come here chasing old tech, scrap to sell, maybe a working part or two. What he found was something else entirely. A faint noise stopped him, a dry whisper, like wind caught in a broken pipe. But this wasn't the wind. It came again, softer this time, a whimper. Rhett pulled his blaster and moved cautiously toward the sound inside. A half-collapsed storage dome. He pushed aside a metal panel. That's when he saw her. She was lying on the ground, half covered in dust, her skin pale like moonlight. Her clothes were torn, her long black hair tangled and matted with dirt. She looked like a corpse, unmoving it, till her fingers twitched. "Help!" the girl whispered, her voice like cracked glass. Rhett lowered his weapon, shocked. This wasn't just a survivor. She was alien. Her eyes opened slowly, blood-red and glowing faintly. She blinked, staring at him, but not like prey, not like danger, just empty, hopeless, lost. He knelt beside her. "Are you hurt?" he asked, reaching for the small canteen on his belt. She tried to sit up, but couldn't. Her lips moved again. "No water. Doesn't help." Rhett frowned, confused. She looked weak, starving even. He offered her the canteen anyway. But she turned her head away, and then he saw them, small, sharp fangs, just behind her lips. His breath caught a vampire. The galaxy had stories about her kind blood feeders from the dark worlds. Creatures feared by many, but she didn't attack. She just curled in on herself, like she was ashamed of being seen. "How long have you been here?" Rhett asked, keeping his tone calm. The girl didn't answer. Instead, a single tear rolled down her cheek, mixing with the dust. I couldn't feed," she whispered. "I tried not to hurt anyone." Rhett looked at his hand, then back at her. He knew what she needed. She was dying not from hunger, but thirst, a thirst for blood. His instincts screamed, "Run." But something in her eyes stopped him. She didn't look dangerous. She looked like a child left to die. With a deep breath, Rhett pulled out a small knife from his tool belt. He sliced a line across the side of his hand. The moment blood welled up, her body tensed. She turned her face away, breathing hard. "No, I don't. Want to?" "Please, I'm offering," Rhett said softly, holding out his hand. "If you don't drink, you'll die." For a long moment, she didn't move. Then slowly, she crawled forward, trembling like a scared animal. She gently took his hand and pressed her lips to the wound. Her touch was cold, but her mouth was warm. She drank slowly, carefully, not like a monster, like someone desperate not to lose control. When she pulled away, she gasped, her color returning slightly. Her red eyes blinked at him, full of emotion he couldn't name. I didn't take much," she whispered. "Did I hurt you?" Rhett shook his head, wrapping a cloth around the wound. "I'm fine," he said. "You're the one who needs help." She looked down, ashamed. "My name is Selah," she said. "I didn't think anyone would come here, not after the outpost." "Fell Rhett," he replied. "I was just looking for scrap. Didn't know I'd find someone still alive." A small smile touched her lips, but it faded quickly. "You shouldn't have helped me," she said. "My kind." "We're hunted," Rhett shrugged. "I've been hunted too. Doesn't mean I'd leave you to die." For the first time, her body relaxed slightly. Not much, but enough to show she felt safe, even if just for a moment. Outside, the wind howled, again carrying red dust across the empty plains inside that broken dome. A bond had begun born, not from trust or duty, but from a single drop of blood, and a human heart that still believed in kindness. Rhett sat near the broken doorway, watching the desert storm roll in from the east. The red sky darkened and the wind picked up speed, whistling through the ruins like a ghost inside the dome. Sayla sat with her knees pulled to her chest, trembling from weakness. She hadn't said a word in nearly an hour. The few sips of blood had helped. But not enough. She was still pale, her movement slow, her voice barely above a whisper. Rhett knew she needed more soon, but the thought of giving more blood made his stomach tighten. He'd already lost some strength, and yet he couldn't. Look at her and walk away. She didn't act like the vampires in the old war stories. She wasn't a monster. She was just broken. He walked over and sat beside her. "Sayla," he said softly, "I can't leave you like this." She didn't answer at first, but then turned her face toward him. Tears clung to her lashes. "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "My own people left me here." Rhett shrugged. "Because someone should be," he said simply. Sayla looked down at her hands, her fingers still trembling. "I can't survive on scraps," she whispered. "And I don't want to drain you." "If I lose control, you won't," Rhett interrupted gently. "You didn't last time, remember?" She gave a weak nod, then turned her head, hiding her face in shame. "I hate what I am," she said, her voice muffled. "I wasn't born this way, you know?" That made Rhett pause. "What do you mean?" "There was a virus," Sayla said. "Decades ago, it changed some of us. Turned us into feeders. I was just a girl then. I didn't choose this life." Rhett, his heart tightened. So many humans had died fighting her kind during the vampire wars, but no one ever said some of them were victims too. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a small silver blade. "I'm offering again," he said, "a little more. Just enough to help you stand." Sayla's eyes widened. "No," she said firmly. "You're already too weak." "Then let me decide that," Rhett said with a soft smile. "I trust you." Tears filled her red eyes. But she didn't argue. This time, slowly, carefully, she leaned closer as Rhett cut his palm again. The scent of blood filled the air, sharp and metallic. Her breathing grew faster, but she didn't leap. Didn't attack. She cupped his hand gently, as if holding something sacred. Then she drank. This time, he felt something different. A warmth passed between them. Her mind brushed against his like a whisper inside his thoughts. Sayla pulled back. Suddenly, gasping, I didn't mean to." "What was that?" Rhett asked, blinking in surprise. She looked shaken. "It's called a bond spark," she said. "It happens when a vampire drinks willingly given blood more than once." Rhett raised an eyebrow. "Is that bad?" Sayla hesitated. "No," she said quietly. "It's rare." And powerful outside, thunder rolled across the sky, and the sandstorm finally reached them. Wind slammed against the dome, making it groan and shake. They were trapped for the night. As darkness fell, Sayla started to regain strength. Her skin was less pale, her voice steadier. She even managed a weak smile. "I don't know why you helped me," she said softly. "But thank you," Rhett chuckled. "You already said that." She looked at him for a long moment, then leaned her head against his shoulder. "Surprising them both, I feel calm near you," she whispered. "I haven't felt safe in a long time." Rhett didn't move, didn't speak. He just sat there, letting her rest against him. The storm raged outside, but inside, something fragile had started to grow. Not just survival, not just trust, but something deeper, something neither of them had felt in years. Morning light broke through the cracks in the dome, glowing soft and gold over the sand-covered floor. Rhett opened his eyes slowly. Feeling a weight resting on his shoulder, Sayla was still asleep. Her breathing calm, her body finally still. He didn't want to move. After all the fear, all the running, the silence felt peaceful. But peace never lasted long out here. A red light blinked on his wrist. Come. Someone had responded to his signal. He tapped it. Static buzzed, followed by a voice. This is Scout Patrol 229. Human distress beacon received. Coordinates. Locked arrival in 3 hours. Rhett's heart sank. They were coming. Not to rescue him, but to check for anything unusual. He looked at Sayla, still sleeping. Her hands curled against her chest. She wasn't just unusual. She was exactly the kind of specimen the authorities would take and never give back. He stood up slowly, careful not to wake her. He needed to think, to plan. His mind raced if. He turned off the beacon now. They'd know something was wrong. But if he let them land, they'd take her, maybe even kill her. Don't, a voice said softly. Rhett turned. Sayla was awake, her red eyes watching him. I heard the message, she said. They're coming for me. Rhett opened his mouth to explain, but she shook her head. It's not your fault, she said, sitting up. This always happens. They call me a threat, she whispered. Even when I've done nothing. He knelt beside her. We still have time, he said. We can move theirs. A canyon system 2 clicks south. They won't scan that deep. Sayla stared at him, confused. You'd run? With me? Yeah, Rhett said simply. I said I'd help. She stood slowly, her legs still shaky. Her voice was quiet. But serious, you do know. If they catch us, they'll mark you as a traitor. Rhett gave a short laugh. It wouldn't be the first time, he said. I've never exactly followed the rules. They gathered what little gear they had, a broken scanner, half a canteen, and a flare. Then slipped out of the dome into the rising heat of the desert morning as they moved through the sand. Sayla spoke again. I wasn't always like this. She said, I used to dream of flying ships, seeing stars, helping people. Rhett glanced at her. What happened? My father served in the Royal Fleet, she said. But when the infection hit and I turned, he turned away too. They all did. Rhett didn't know what to say, so he just kept walking beside her, step after step. The canyon finally came into view, deep, jagged and hidden from overhead scans. They slipped down into the shadows just as the sky above began to hum. A ship was approaching. They ducked into a cave, out of sight. Sayla sat down, her face pale. Again from the climb, she touched her chest lightly. There's something inside me, she said. Something changing since I fed from you. Rhett's eyes narrowed. Changing how? She hesitated. It's not just energy. It's emotion. I feel you, she whispered, placing her hand over her heart. Even now, he looked at her, surprised. I feel strange too, he admitted, like I can sense when you're scared. Their eyes met no fear. No lies, just truth. The bond wasn't just a myth. It was real. Suddenly, Rhett's cum buzzed again. The voice was sharper now. Scout Patrol has landed, scanning ruins, now be advised. High radiation detected in area. They're looking for life signs, Sayla whispered. If I panic, they'll sense it, then stay calm, Rhett said. Taking her hand without thinking, we're not going to be found. They sat in the dark, holding hands, listening to the distant sound of boots stomping through the desert above. Minutes passed like hours. Sayla's breathing grew shallow, but her eyes never left Rhett's face. They'll leave soon, he whispered. We just have to wait. And finally, the noise faded. The ship lifted off, engines rumbling like thunder as it vanished back into the sky. Silence returned, and they both exhaled at the same time. We did it, Rhett said, smiling, but Sayla didn't smile back. Instead, she leaned against him again and whispered, No. You did it. No one's ever chosen me over their own kind before. Rhett didn't answer. He just wrapped his arm around her shoulders, and for the first time, they sat without fear. They weren't safe, they weren't free, but they weren't alone either, and in a world that wanted them both gone. That meant everything. *, the canyon slept beneath the sun. silent and still, but far above, beyond the reach of shadows. A black ship moved without sound. It was not part of the scout patrol. This one hunted for something else, something ancient, something rare, and it had found her. Sayla woke with a sharp breath. Her eyes snapped open. Glowing faintly red, "I felt something," she whispered, looking around. Rhett stirred beside her, half asleep. "Bad dream?" he asked, rubbing his eyes. "No," she said quietly. "A presence." Watching, Rhett stood and checked the small scanner they'd salvaged. A blinking dot had appeared fast-moving, heading straight for them. He didn't say a word, just showed her the screen. Sila's face went pale. "It's a tracer," she whispered. "A bounty hunter. They use ancient tech. And they always finish the job." They packed fast, moving deeper into the rocky tunnels of the canyon. Every step echoed through the stones. Every sound made Rhett's nerves tighten. The hunter was coming in. It wouldn't give them a second. Chance, they found a narrow crevice and slipped inside. Dark, cold, silent, but not safe. Sayla pressed her back against the wall, her hands shaking. "I can't fight like this," she said. "I'm still too weak." Rhett looked at her, then down at his hand. The old cut had healed, but the scar was still fresh. "You can feed again," he said, without hesitation. She looked at him with wide eyes. "No, not now. If I take more, I might lose control." "I might hurt you, Sayla," he interrupted. "You won't. I trust you." Her lip trembled. Then she stepped closer, placed a hand on his chest, and whispered, "If I cross the line, stop me." Rhett nodded. He sliced a new cut across his wrist, and her body moved on instinct. This time, she drank deeper longer. Her fingers gripped his arm, her lips warm against his skin. Her eyes glowed brighter. And he felt the bond spark again, this time stronger. Suddenly, boom. A shockwave hit the canyon wall, throwing dust and rocks into the air. The hunter had landed. Sayla's mouth pulled away, blood dripping from her lips. "I'm ready," she said. Her voice deeper now, filled with power. "Stay behind me, Rhett." Grabbed his blaster, but he knew it wouldn't help. These hunters were built to take down stronger prey than him. Then the hunter appeared, a tall figure of black armor and metal limbs, its face hidden behind a mask. A glowing red eye scanned the area, and it spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. "Target identified. Rogue vampire, female, designation, Sayla. Capture or terminate." Sayla stepped forward, her hands raised. "You won't take me back," she said, her voice shaking but defiant. The hunter moved fast, faster than anything Rhett had ever seen. It fired a stun blast. Sayla dodged. Twisting mid-air with unnatural speed, she struck back with a wave of force, her hand glowing red. The blast hit the hunter and knocked it back, but not down. Rhett took cover, watching in awe and fear. Sayla was faster now, stronger, her moves graceful but deadly. But the hunter adapted quickly, switching to shock pulses and net traps. One net struck her shoulder, sparking pain through her body. She screamed, falling to one knee. The hunter moved in, blade drawn, ready to end it. Rhett didn't think. He ran forward and fired his blaster. It didn't do much, but it was enough. The hunter turned. Giving Sayla 1 second to rise again, she leaped into the air and slammed into it with full force. Her hand touched its metal chest stand. She released everything. A surge of energy burst. Out red light, psychic force, raw power. The hunter collapsed, smoking and silent. Its systems fried. Its mission failed. Sayla dropped beside it, panting hard. Her body shaking from the effort. Rhett ran to her and caught her before she fell. "You did it," he said, breathless. "I use the bond," she whispered. "Your blood gave me more than strength. It gave me will." They sat there in silence as the dust settled around them. The hunter was gone, but others would come. Stronger ones, smarter ones, But Sayla was changing now, and Rhett. He wasn't just a helper anymore. He was part of her, and she was part of him. Together, they had just survived the impossible. Now, they had to decide what came next. The sun dipped behind the canyon walls, painting the sky in soft orange and red. Sayla sat quietly beside the fire Rhett had built, her eyes no longer glowing, but calm. She held a piece of cloth in her hands, Rhett's old bandage. Still stained with blood, she stared at it as if it held answers. Rhett was boiling water in a cracked tin pot. The silence between them heavier than usual. Neither of them had spoken much since the fight. The bounty hunter was gun-burnt, crushed, defeated, but the weight of what Sayla had done still hung. In the air, "You're quiet," Rhett said gently, breaking the silence. She looked up, blinking. "I don't know how to feel," she replied. "I've spent so long hiding, starving, afraid, and now I've tasted strength." Rhett sat beside her, placing the pot aside. "You saved both our lives," he said. "You should be proud." She gave a soft, sad laugh. "I should be terrified," she said. "That power, Rhett, wasn't just mine. I felt you in it." He looked at her, unsure what to say. "Maybe that's what makes it different," he finally answered. "Maybe it's not just power anymore." They sat in silence again, listening to the soft crackle of the fire. Then Sayla asked something she had never dared ask before. "Do you hate what I am?" Rhett turned to her, surprised. "No," he said. Without hesitation, "I've seen monsters. You're not one of them." She looked down at her hands. "I fed from you." "3 times now," she whispered. "Every time, I feel more alive." "But something else is happening too." Rhett leaned in, curious. "What do you mean?" "I feel things I shouldn't," she said, "like warmth when you smile, pain when you flinch, hunger when you look tired. I even laughed earlier. When you slipped on that rock." She added with a small smile, "I've never laughed before." He chuckled, remembering how he'd tripped and landed flat on his back. "You've got a dark sense of humor," he said, grinning. She smiled turrily, smiled for the first time. It made her look younger, softer. Not a creature hiding in the dark, but a girl learning how to live. "I want more of this," she said softly, looking up at the stars. "I want to feel human things." Rhett nodded slowly. "I can show you," he said. "But it'll be a hard road." "I've walked harder roads," she replied, alone. He stood and offered her a hand. "Come on," he said. "Let me show you something." They climbed out of the canyon under the night sky. The air was cool, and the stars were so clear they looked painted on glass. He led her to the edge of a cliff where the land stretched wide, dotted with old solar panels and broken towers. "This used to be a town," Rhett said. "Before the wars, people lived here, built lives, raised families." Sayla looked out over the broken land. "It looks sad," she said. "Yeah," Rhett agreed. "But even sad places have stories worth remembering." She tilted her head, curious. "What's your story, Rhett?" He hesitated, then sighed. "I used to be a soldier," he said. "I followed orders, hurt people, lost friends. When the war ended, I left. Been wandering since, fixing ships, trading parts." Trying to forget, Sayla stepped closer. "But you didn't forget," she said. "You just stopped feeling." He looked at her, surprised by her words. "Maybe," he admitted, "but you've changed that." She touched his arm, gentle but firm. "And you changed me," she said. "I was taught to fear humans. But you gave me blood, gave me trust. You gave me choice." They stood there under the stars, no longer to strangers, but something closer. Something forming in the space between pain and healing. Then, quietly, Sayla asked, "Would you ever let me try human food?" Rhett burst out laughing. "You want to eat real food?" "I want to try," she said, pretending to pout. "I've never had soup, or bread, or anything warm that wasn't blood." "All right," he said with a grin. "First thing tomorrow, I'll teach you how to make fire-roasted ration stew." Warning, it tastes like regret, she giggled in. Actual giggleland. Covered her mouth in surprise. "I like that sound," Rhett said, smiling wide. "I think I want to hear it more." Sayla blushed faintly, the red in her cheeks glowing just a little. "I think I want that too," she whispered. And for the first time since they met, neither of them felt hunted. They just felt human. By morning, the desert air was sharp and cool. The fire had burned down to glowing ash. But Rhett and Sayla had already packed and moved before the heat returned. They couldn't stay in one place for long, not after what happened with the bounty hunter. As they walked along the ridge of the canyon, Sayla carried herself differently now. Her steps were steadier, her eyes more focused. She didn't flinch at every sound or shadow anymore. Something inside her had shifted. She had changed, and so had Rhett. They found shelter in the hull of a broken cargo ship, half buried in the sand. Rhett pried open a sealed hatch and led her inside. The interior still had old wiring, broken lights, and a rusted control panel. But it was hidden and dry good enough for a night or two as they settled in. Sayla touched the side of her neck and frowned. "There's a pulse here," she whispered. "That wasn't there before." Rhett raised an eyebrow. "Good or bad?" "I don't know," she said, sitting cross-legged on the floor. "But it hums when you're near." He sat across from her, leaning against the wall. "Could be the bond," he said. "You said it connects us. It does more than that." "Now," Sayla replied, "I feel your thoughts, sometimes not words, just feelings. When you're worried, I get cold. When you laugh, I get warm." Rhett blinked slowly. "That's a little creepy," he joked, then smiled. "But kind of amazing too." Sayla smiled faintly, but her fingers were still on her neck. "I think it's growing," she said, "like the connection is." Alive, they both grew quiet. It wasn't just about feeding anymore. Something deeper was forming. Later, Rhett heated up a ration pack and handed her a spoon. It was her first time trying anything close to human food. She sniffed it suspiciously. "It smells like metal," she said. "It is metal." Rhett laughed. "You don't eat it for flavor, just survival." She took a small bite and immediately coughed. "That's awful," she said, laughing and covering her mouth. Rhett grinned. "Welcome to my world." But then her laughter faded, and she looked at him seriously. "Your world," she said softly, "isn't mine. I'm still a vampire." "Rhett, even if I laugh, even if I feel things, your people will never see me as anything but dangerous." Rhett leaned forward. "My people see anything different as dangerous," he said. "But I'm not like them, and neither are you." She met his gaze. "And if this bond keeps growing, what happens to you? If I lose control, if I become something more powerful, more dangerous, what if I hurt you?" "You won't," he said firmly. "You keep saying that," she whispered. "But how do you know?" Rhett didn't answer, not right away. Instead, he stood and walked over to her. Kneeling in front of her, he reached out and gently placed a hand on her cheek. "Because every time you had a choice, you chose me," he said. "You could have drained me, attacked me, left me behind. But you didn't." Her eyes shimmered, glowing softly red. "I don't want to hurt anyone ever again," she said. "Then don't," Rhett replied. "I'll be with you. We'll figure it out together." Suddenly, the lights inside the wreck flickered. A low hum vibrated through the floor. Rhett stood quickly, drawing his blaster. "That wasn't me," he said. Sayla was already moving to the window, peeking. Through a crack in the metal wall, her eyes narrowed. "Ship," she whispered. "It's not patrol. It's something worse." Rhett joined her, and what he saw chilled him. A massive vessel with no markings hovered in the distance. No lights, no signal. Completely silent, it just watched. Sayla's breath caught. "I know that ship," she said slowly. "That's not a hunter. That's royal tech. From my own people, your people," Red said, confused. "I thought they abandoned you." "They did," she said. "But if they're here now, they must have heard about the bond. They'll want to use it to or destroy it." Red clenched his fists. "They're not taking you," he said. "We're not running anymore." Sayla turned to him, her eyes fierce. "I won't let them touch you," she said. "I'd rather burn that ship down than let them take what we've built." Their hands found each other's tight, warm, certain. It was no longer about feeding or survival. It was about standing together. Whatever was coming next, they would face it not as human and vampire, but as something new, something stronger. Bonded beyond species and ready for war. The alien ship hovered like a black moon above the horizon. No sound, no lights, just still, waiting. Sayla stood at the edge of the broken cargo ship, eyes narrowed, heart pounding. She knew who they were. She knew why they came. "They found me," she whispered. "But not for justice, not for mercy." Rhett stood behind her, his hand resting lightly on the grip of his blaster. "They want to take you back?" he asked. Sayla shook her head slowly. "They'll pretend it's mercy," she said. "But really, they want the bond. Human blood awakens something in me, something they fear." The hum of the ship grew louder, vibrating through the ground. A light beamed down from beneath it. Scanning across the sand, Rhett looked at Sayla. "We can run," he said. "Hide again." Sayla turned to him, red eyes glowing soft but steady. "No," she said. "This ends here." She stepped out into the open and raised her hands. A moment later, a figure descended from the ship tall. Cloaked in silver armor, no helmet, no gun, just authority. He looked like her, but older, sharper. His eyes were red too, but colder. "Sayla," the man said, "daughter of the House of Voron, you were meant to die alone. Yet here you are." Bonded with a human, Sayla didn't move. "I chose him," she said, voice clear. "I chose kindness over cruelty. Love over fear." The man's lip curled in disgust. "You are a danger now," he said. "That bond, if it spreads, it will change our species forever." "Maybe it should," Rhett said, stepping beside her. "We're stronger together than you ever were apart." The elder vampire raised his hand. Energy gathered red, sharp, deadly. "This ends now," he said coldly. But before he could strike, Sayla moved, faster than ever before. Her body shimmered with power, not wild, accused. Not angry, but calm and complete. She touched the ground, and the sand beneath them lifted in a wave of energy. The elder vampire staggered back, eyes wide. "You bonded fully," he gasped. "You're no longer one of us." "No," Sayla said, stepping forward. "I'm something more." She raised her hand, and her mark formed from Rhett's blood glowed across her palm with a cry of finality. She sent a pulse of light toward the ship. The scanners blinked and died. The engines powered down. The ship groaned and fell silent, dead in the air. No one spoke, no one moved. The elder vampire fell to one knee, stunned, and Sayla turned away from him, not in hate, but in peace. "I don't want revenge," she said. "I just want to be free." She walked back to Rhett and took his hand. He looked at her with awe and warmth. "You didn't kill him," he said quietly. "You could have. But you didn't." She smiled softly. "Because you wouldn't have." They turned and walked away from the wrecked cargo ship, the wind at their backs, the silence of the broken desert behind them. As they walked, Sayla leaned into him and asked, "Does it still scare you that I drink blood?" Rhett smiled. "No more than I'm scared of falling in love." She stopped walking. Her red eyes widened slightly. "Did you just say yes?" he said simply. "I love you. I didn't plan it. Didn't expect it. But it happened." Selah looked down, then up at him. "I don't know what love is," she whispered, "but when you hold me, I feel like I belong. When you're gone, my heart aches. When you're near, I want to protect you from the world." Rhett brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Sounds like love to me," he said. She reached up and touched his chest. "I don't thirst for blood anymore," she said quietly, "not like before. My last thirst was for survival. Now I thirst for you." And with that, she kissed him. Not out of hunger, but out of choice. Out of something deeper than species. Deeper than blood, two hearts, once lost and broken, now beat in rhythm in a galaxy full of war, hunger, and fear. They had found something rare, something eternal: love.